throughout the process, and from the beginning of the process to the end, the children are inquisitive, want to be included, and there's a need for our voice to ensure that their needs are met throughout that whole process.
You've heard the term child advocate volunteer. You've probably heard of the term CASA, which is court-appointed special advocate. You've even heard the term guardian ad litem. All of those terms are interchangeable, as they all represent the voice of the child.
I was born to a mother who was highly addicted to drugs and alcohol, and so we were taken away many times for abuse and neglect. Neglect towards us, but then abuse towards me. And by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I had been hospitalized 3 different times by my mother. So we were in foster care because she couldn't get off the drugs and alcohol, and because of the abuse and neglect.
Life as a child for me was difficult. I moved from house to house a lot, from my sisters to my father's. I have 2 different sisters. I was on my own a lot. I left my family when I was like 14 years old, so from then on out I was kind of by myself.
When I was a kid, life was pretty difficult. I remember moving from home to home, not having a place to really call home, being in about 21 different homes moving. It was pretty rough. My mom had me when she was 14 or 15. I remember the story of her leaving me and my 2 other brothers at one of my brother's father's porch.
My first connection with child advocates was when I was actually a preteen. I was taken away again, and along comes my advocate, who pretty much I had an immediate connection with. She was there for me, and then she did everything she could for me to make me feel comfortable, to make me feel like I knew what was going on, because at that point I was older, and she wanted me to know what was going on, what she could do for me, what she could not do for me, and what my options were as far as placement wise.
My first time in court, I was very nervous. My hands were like sweating. I had never been in court before then. I felt like I was in trouble. Although I wasn't in trouble, I still felt that way. There were so many different faces, so many different questions, so many different people introducing themselves and telling me who they were. Becky did tell me that she was my voice. I didn't really understand what that meant at the time because I've never been in court before. But she would ask me how I felt about things and what I thought would be the right thing for me. She never really pushed what she felt like I should do, or she just really heard me out all the way around.
Azarette from the beginning wanted the judge to know that she was Azarette. She was not her parents, and that she wanted to go to college, and she wanted to have a good life, a good family, and she has achieved those things.
I believe that child advocates played a huge part, just being the voice for us. Anything we needed, they was there. They was our voice in court. They was able to get the things we needed: clothes, food, new homes if we needed. Not all the homes that we were in were the best homes, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
I'm always struck by the incredible resilience of children, their ability to weather circumstances and events that many of us would simply be crushed by. Of child advocates is they ensure that kids get to be kids, even though they're going through a really awful process and system and situation. Child advocates make sure that these kids get to be kids.
I feel child advocate volunteers are important because, it's like another family member for you. They're there, and it's just someone that you can rely on and talk to when you're going through something. And they're just there with you through everything, especially moving from home to home. They'll make you feel comfortable. They're cool to be around.
So in our first years, we represented maybe hundreds of children. Now we represent 5,000 children. So we are seeing more domestic violence, more heroin cases, more cases of substance abuse and mental illness, severe poverty problems. All of those things affect the vulnerable children in our community. And community volunteers called CASAs, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, can go out and visit those children and make their stories known to the judges.
Our caseloads have increased all throughout juvenile court, especially in the CHINS arena.
And the entire system is feeling the effects, from the service providers to the bailiffs to, of course, the guardians ad litem. I think more volunteers would help in all of us judges being able to hear clearly and concisely the voice of the child. One of the most important things that our CASAs do is make our children feel important. They go to that child's door and say, "What can I tell the judge about you?" And we know that a child's success often depends on having a caring, supportive adult in their life.
Man, I made it. I made it in life. I'm happy. I have 2 beautiful children. I have an amazing husband, and every day is a journey. And yeah, so that's Ashley today.
I believe every obstacle, every bump was a plan. It was a plan to get me where I am today. I look at it as Jenga. I know you played the game Jenga. If you pull that one block out, the whole thing could fall. And I'm glad that we didn't pull no blocks out of my story. I'm so glad that the opportunity for everything, even when it looked like everything was going to fall, when they took one home from me, it still stood. The impact that it had, it provided a family when I didn't have one. It provided an opportunity when I didn't have one. And so I'm like I said before, I'm grateful for that.
I feel like you can either take what's happened to you and use it as a crutch, or take what's happened to you and blossom out of it. I feel like if I didn't have a child advocate, or I didn't have people around to listen to me and hear me out, I probably would have used that as a crutch. But knowing that I can still be somebody and make something out of my life it's just been a blessing all the way around, and I'm grateful for that.
You can make a difference in the life of a child.
Volunteer today. The children are waiting for you to be their child advocate.